Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Technology Guy. I'm your host, Mike Baturin. Today we're going to be talking about Tesla's new software release, 2019.16.2. We're going to go over all the new features. I'll show some of them to you in the car itself, and we'll talk about some of the pros and cons of what's in the software, some of the things I've been finding that have been great, and the other things I've been finding that have been not so great. We'll go through everything, so stick with us after the jump. Alright, so let's just get started with the list. There's actually quite a few things in this release, the first of which is new driving visualizations. A coworker of mine is in the beta program. He actually showed this to me a couple months ago, and I've been kind of waiting for this for a while. These are awesome. Basically, all it does is it takes your car and it makes it bigger, but your car looks exactly like your car. And you can see things much clearer now, like your brake lights, your headlights. You can actually see the lanes around you, cars around you a little bit better. And depending on where you are and how fast you're going, what kind of roads you're driving on, the visualizations will actually get bigger. So they'll kind of stretch out and make your car smaller, or they'll basically make your car bigger so you can see things closer around you. One of the other things that it actually does is an animation when you go into drive and when you go into park. Next is Sentry mode improvements. These are really cool, even though some of these I've been able to do using the Stats app. For those of you who haven't purchased the Stats app or you don't plan to purchase the Stats app, this is a way, free with Tesla software, you could do similar things as far as Sentry mode is concerned. So what this basically lets you do is turn on Sentry mode automatically anywhere you park. You can also choose locations that you don't want Sentry mode to be turned on, which are basically your favorites. So let's say you go somewhere every day, you know it's a safe area, maybe you're in a parking garage with a guard or something like that, and you don't want that extra battery that Sentry mode uses to be taken up because you know you're in a safe place. You can easily just add that place to a favorite and then choose the option on the car to not enable Sentry mode at your favorite locations. You can also decide not to enable it automatically. It is an on-off switch, and they also put the Sentry mode icon in the very top of the tablet here, so it's very easy just to remember to tap that if you just want to manually turn it on in some cases and not turn it on in other cases. I personally turn it on everywhere I go. The only time I wouldn't have it automatically turn on is if I'm on a long trip and I really want to preserve my battery, but my daily driving is so little that anywhere I go, I basically do have the battery to let that thing run and just make sure my car's protected. Make sure I'm going to catch someone doing something to my car if that was to happen. Let's hope it doesn't. So the Sentry mode improvements are very cool, much needed, and again, another way for those of you who don't have the Stats app, don't want to pay $20 for it, to get that feature at least that the Stats app was previously providing. All right, the next thing up on the list is lane departure avoidance. This is a really neat feature that helps you basically stay in your lane. If something was to happen, maybe you lose your attention, maybe you're doing something and you start drifting out of your lane. Lane departure avoidance has some features to kind of bring you back into your lane if you wanted to do that. So it's basically designed to assist you with that corrective steering. Everything is optional. You basically go in your menu to touch controls, autopilot, lane departure avoidance, and you can choose from options like from the assist option, so you can actually say you want the car to assist you, which means you want the car to attempt to make that corrective action, steering back into the driving lane. You can also make it just give you a warning. So in that case, the steering wheel will just vibrate. That's kind of been what the Tesla's done up till now. That assist feature is really the new thing here. You can also turn both of those off. So if you don't want it to do anything, you could just shut it off. So of all that, the car always kind of shook the steering wheel if you started drifting out of your lane. But what I'm finding now is it will actually steer you back into your lane. One thing to note is you have to use your turn signal, right? So if your turn signal's on, it's not going to steer you back into your lane because it knows you're trying to change. But there are people out there who do drive without turn signals. Maybe this will be a tool to help them learn that they need to use their turn signals if they choose that assist feature, because it's going to pull them back into their lane. The place this has become problematic for some is that when there's a pothole on the road, in that case, some people do want to swerve out of the way of the pothole. And in some cases, you're trying to swerve outside a line one way or the other. Now, what's happening is the lane assist is basically driving people right back into that pothole. And that's not a great situation to be in. Technically, it is kind of keeping you safe as far as keeping in the line. But you're now kind of potentially running through a pothole. Depending on the severity of it, it could do damage to the car or not. So just one complaint I've seen with this. And I've actually almost had this happen to me once. So it is a real kind of thing to look out for if you do turn the assist feature on. All right, the next feature is similar to the last. This one is called emergency lane departure avoidance. What this one's going to actually do is be turned on automatically every time you get in your car. There is an option to turn it off for the current drive, but then the next drive it's going to be automatically enabled again. What this does is similar to the last thing as well. If your car starts veering out of its lane and the car detects that it's going to go off the road completely or it's going to hit something, it will automatically pull your car back into the lane. This is an overlooked safety feature, in my opinion, that's not being talked about that much, because this is actually has life-saving potential. God forbid someone was to have a heart attack or go unconscious for some other reason while they're sleeping. This is something that even when autopilot and navigate on autopilot, all the advanced features that not everyone has, even when that stuff is not on, this is going to take over and potentially save people's lives. So if the car is going to go off the road, this thing's going to actually pull you into your lane. And if it doesn't detect your hands on the wheel, it's going to pull you over. It's going to basically slow the car down to a stop and put your hazards on. All right, so the last two features in this upgrade are a bit smaller, but still pretty cool. One of them is software update preferences. The software updates basically come to you when you get them up to this point. Some people get them a lot sooner than others, but now there's an option where you can choose to be on the front lines of receiving the new software upgrades. This is definitely the kind of person I am. I want to try it out first. Even if it's buggy, I don't mind kind of being that guy trying it, helping other people even along the way. But really, I just kind of want those new features first. So you could turn on advanced mode and they'll push out new software updates to you ahead of kind of everyone else that does not have that on. The other thing is that the support was added for the Swedish language. So the touchscreen navigation voice guidance is now available in Swedish. All right, so everything hasn't been perfect. There actually have been some things that I found, some bugs since 2019.16.2 was installed. Primarily, it has to do with playing music or podcasts in my car. What I'm seeing a lot of times is when I go to play a song, whether it's on my USB stick that I have music on, or TuneIn or Slacker, a lot of times I get an error, the kind of like a little arrow circle with an error sign, and that doesn't go away until I reboot the screen. I've also had a lot of times where the screen's just not turning on, or my garage door buttons aren't working. So I've been rebooting in the past couple weeks, way more than I ever rebooted before. I'm hoping these are small things that maybe a software update that comes out soon will fix. But all those neat features that I explained before this kind of came at the cost of a little bit less stable entertainment system for me. So I'm going to just look for that fix. I'm not going to take it as that big of a deal. A quick reboot that takes about 2 minutes fixes everything. That reboot can even be done while you're driving. I'm talking about a soft reboot, not the hard reboot where you have to have your foot on the brake. So just to let you guys know, there are a little bit of bugs along with this update. Whether that helps you decide to install it or not, I don't know, but figured I would at least let you know. All right, everyone. Well, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Technology Guy. We went over software version 2019.16.2, new features, a little bit of bugs that come along with it. If you did enjoy this video, please remember to subscribe, share, and like. Helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. And we will see you guys next time.